what if the most powerful brain-protecting medicine in your grocery store isn't actually in the pharmacy aisle? Like, what if it's hiding in plain sight and completely ignored right next to the strawberries?
It's crazy to think about.
Right. I mean, think about how often you walk past the berry wall, grab your usual favorites, and just completely overlook a piece of fruit that is biologically engineered to fight cognitive decline.
Oh, totally. We do it all the time.
We really do.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everyone to VPA.AI. I'm your host, Mike, and sitting right across from me is our resident expert, Susan.
It is so great to be here.
Before we get into it, I need to let you know that you can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
Such a good deal.
It really is. Anyway, our mission today is to look right past those usual suspects in the produce section. We are exploring a hidden nutritional powerhouse, which is the blackberry.
Yes, the unassuming blackberry.
Exactly. So we're going to break down the actual biology of its nutrition, the surprising drama of how it has to be grown, and what this little fruit teaches us about the whole concept of regenerative farming.
I love this topic so much because it completely changes how you look at a mundane, everyday item.
Yeah, you never look at them the same way again.
No, you don't. The blackberry is, frankly, just vastly underappreciated. We tend to pass it by for things that are marketed more aggressively, or I don't know, maybe things that are just visually more uniform.
Right.
But when you actually examine the biological profile of this fruit, it is performing functions for the human body that are incredibly complex.
So let's start right there by just redefining what a blackberry actually is, because I don't think most people give it a second thought. I was looking through the notes provided by Ed Seaman. He's the owner of Santa Barbara Blueberries.
Which is funny, right? A blueberry farm.
Yeah, funnily enough, he also grows raspberries and blackberries. But he points out that people just don't appreciate them nearly as much. He defines the blackberry specifically as a caneberry.
Right, a caneberry.
And he mentions they grow much bigger than most people realize, like often as big as a human thumb.
Oh, yeah, they can be massive. And that physical size is really just the beginning.
Okay.
The real story is what happens when you start breaking down the actual nutritional density of that thumb-sized fruit. If we look at the core components, they are exceptionally high in fiber.
Which we know is great.
Yeah, it's essential for regulating digestion, maintaining a healthy gut microbiome, all of that. Plus, they are packed with vitamin K and magnesium. But here is the statistic that really forces you to pay attention.
Get me.
A single cup of blackberries has twice as much vitamin C as a cup of blueberries.
Wait, hold on. Twice as much.
Literally double.
That's crazy because whenever you hear about getting your vitamin C or, antioxidants, blueberries are always the poster child. Like they get the entire marketing budget.
They absolutely do.
It's like if we were casting a movie, the blueberry is that flashy Hollywood A-lister who gets their face on all the movie posters and does all the late night talk shows.
Yeah.
But the blackberry is that brilliant, quiet character actor who just shows up, does twice the heavy lifting behind the scenes, carries the entire film,
All right.
and, never asks for the spotlight.
That is an incredibly accurate analogy. The blueberry has an excellent PR team, but the blackberry is doing the fundamental, heavy biological lifting.
Wow.
And it goes far beyond just vitamin C, too. If you compare blackberries and, frankly, raspberries, too, to almost any other food on the planet, you are going to see exceptionally high levels of antioxidants.
Okay, but we need to define what that actually means because we hear the word antioxidants slapped on like smoothie labels and energy bars all the time.
All the time.
To the point where it just sounds like a marketing buzzword, It sounds like one of those vague health terms that doesn't actually mean anything concrete.
I completely agree. It loses its meaning.
So what is an antioxidant actually doing mechanically inside my body?
Okay, think of your body like a car engine.
Okay, I'm with you.
Every single day, your cells are burning energy just to keep you alive. And just like an engine produces exhaust, your cells produce byproducts called free radicals.
Right, you hear about free radicals.
Yeah, and over time, these free radicals bounce around inside your cells, causing damage. It's a process called oxidative stress.
Okay.
It is essentially the biological equivalent of rusting.
Rusting, wow.
Yeah, it's what causes physical aging and cellular degradation.
Oh.
So antioxidants are the compounds that step in, neutralize those free radicals, and basically stop the rusting process.
Oh, wow.
They provide the raw materials your body needs to literally rebuild damaged cellular structures.
Okay, so it's not just a buzzword. It's actual mechanical rust proofing for your cells.
Exactly. But where the blackberry specifically becomes profoundly interesting is its neurological impact.
Like for the brain.
Yes, brain tissue is incredibly dense and requires a massive amount of energy, which means it produces a lot of that cellular exhaust we just talked about.
That makes sense.
The specific antioxidants found in blackberries, particularly a group called anthocyanins, which, by the way, give them that dark color they are uniquely capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier.
Really?
Yes. There is a strong correlation in the scientific literature between consuming these high levels of antioxidants and fighting off long-term cognitive decline, specifically aiding with conditions like Alzheimer's.
Now, wait a minute. I have to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Are we actually saying that eating a handful of berries stops cognitive decline? Because, I mean, that sounds suspiciously like one of those clickbait health articles my aunt shares on social media claiming a single vegetable cures everything.
Yeah, no, that is a very fair point to push back on. No, it is not a magic pill, and framing it that way is really dangerous.
Right.
Eating a bowl of blackberries on Tuesday isn't going to cure a neurodegenerative disease on Wednesday.
Good to clarify.
What we are talking about is long-term preventative maintenance. It's neuroprotection over decades. By consistently supplying your brain with the tools it needs to neutralize that daily cellular damage, you are significantly reducing the cumulative wear and tear that leads to cognitive decline.
Oh, I see.
And, Ed Seaman actually makes a really clear distinction about what earns a food the title of superfood. It's not a mystical term.
What is it then?
It's basically a mathematical equation. Highly nutritious plus a massive amount of antioxidants equals a superfood. By that strict biological definition, blackberries absolutely qualify.
So it changes the entire framing of why you eat them. You aren't just grabbing a sweet snack to hold you over until dinner.
No, not at all.
You are engaging in active biological regeneration. Like you are depositing rust proofing into your brain's long-term savings account.
Precisely. And understanding that internal biological process completely reorients your relationship with the food itself.
Which makes me think about where this food actually comes from. Because if this fruit is doing all this complex regenerative work internally, inside our bodies, the way it's cultivated in the external environment in the dirt must be just as intentional.
Oh, it has to be.
And that brings us to the physical farm itself. Ed's farm, Santa Barbara Blueberries, operates as a U-pick farm, where you literally drive out there, walk onto the property, and pick the fruit yourself.
The U-pick model is such a fascinating counter-movement to our modern food system.
How so?
Well, right now, the primary driver for most consumers is sheer convenience. We want everything washed, boxed, and ready to eat right away.
Definitely.
But the primary value of a U-pick farm isn't just about getting the absolute freshest fruit, although that is obviously a great perk.
Yeah, fresh is good.
The true value is transparency and psychological grounding. You are standing on the very soil where that fruit originated. You see the climate. You basically remove the sterile abstraction of the grocery store aisle.
Yeah, and when you actually get up close to a blackberry plant, it is not what you expect. Like, these aren't fragile little green vines.
Not at all.
Ed describes them as very hardy, robust plants with big, thick, fat canes. And crucially, for his specific U-pick farm, they use thornless varieties.
Which is huge.
I have to say, having tangled with wild blackberry bushes in the woods as a kid, that is an absolute game changer. Wild blackberries will aggressively tear your arms to ribbons.
Oh, they are brutal.
So a thornless cane is a massive innovation for a casual picker who just wants a nice Saturday afternoon harvest without needing, a first aid kit.
It definitely lowers the barrier to entry for the consumer. But it's important to understand that the sheer robustness of these thick canes is completely contrasted by the immense patience required by the farmer.
Right.
This is not a crop you can rush. When a farmer puts these canes in the ground, they don't harvest anything right away. They want those plants to grow for an entire season before they do anything with them.
A full year of just waiting.
A full year.
That seems incredibly inefficient from a business standpoint. Why not force them to produce sooner?
Because the surface growth is irrelevant if the underground infrastructure isn't there. You're
Yeah.
investing a full year just to establish a massive, complex root system.
Oh, so it's all happening underground.
Exactly. The plant needs to learn how to communicate with the specific microbiology of that soil. It's building the plumbing necessary to absorb all those nutrients we just talked about.
Wow.
But that year of patience pays off exponentially. Once a plant is fully established with that deep root system, a single healthy plant can yield up to 15 pounds of fruit in a single season.
15 pounds from one plant. That is staggering.
It's a lot of fruit.
But the plant isn't doing this in a vacuum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once those canes are happy beneath the ground, they send up flowers. And those flowers represent a vital, non-negotiable relationship with honeybees.
Yes, the bees are everything.
Every single flower must be physically visited by a bee to be pollinated. Ed has this great, simple philosophy in his material. He says, a happy honeybee, he's getting exactly what he wants. Happy honeybee, happy blackberry plant.
That dynamic is the absolute crux of natural, localized agriculture. It's a genuine mutual exchange of value. The bee isn't forced to do the work.
Right.
The flower naturally provides nectar, the bee actively seeks it out, and by moving from flower to flower, the bee guarantees the genetic future of the fruit.
It's perfect teamwork.
It really is. But even after that crucial pollination happens, the waiting game is far from over. From the exact moment a flower is pollinated by that happy bee, you are looking at another 60 to 70-day timeline before you actually have a ripe, edible piece of fruit.
And the visual transformation during those 70 days is incredible. It's almost like a biological traffic light.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you start with the flower, then the petals fall away and you get this stubby little green fruit. Then it swells up into a bigger green fruit. From there it turns bright red. Then it deepens into a purplish color. And finally, it transforms into a shiny black fruit. And that specific adjective, shiny black, is the universal indicator that it is sweet, wonderful, and ready to be picked.
The traffic light metaphor is perfect because that color progression is the plant literally communicating its chemical composition to the outside world.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, when the fruit is green or red, it is highly acidic, filled with bitter tannins, and physically hard.
Okay.
The plant is loudly broadcasting, "Stop! My seeds are not mature yet. Do not eat me."
That makes total sense.
But when it hits that shiny black stage, the acid levels plummet, the complex sugars have fully developed, and the plant is signaling to birds, animals, and humans that the seeds are ready for distribution and the fruit is perfect for consumption.
It's just a brilliant evolutionary design. But, looking at that 70-day timeline really highlights how warped our modern mindset is. I know I'm guilty of this myself.
Well, we all are.
I walk into a superstore in the dead of winter. I expect to see a massive wall of perfectly ripe berries from somewhere across the globe, and I just toss a plastic box in my cart without breaking stride.
Yep.
And if they're out of stock, I get annoyed. But when you realize the reality, waiting a whole year just to establish the roots, relying on a local swarm of honeybees, and then tracking a 70-day color-changing journey, it really exposes how spoiled we are by industrial farming, doesn't it?
It completely shatters the illusion of the grocery store. When consumers demand instant gratification and year-round availability of seasonal fruit, they are implicitly demanding mass industrial agriculture.
Exactly.
And industrial farming operates by forcing the land to produce on a human corporate schedule, usually through heavy chemical inputs. But when you understand the blackberry's actual timeline, you recognize that this isn't a factory product.
Right, it's not made on an assembly line.
It is an intricate, small-scale ecological dance. You begin to value the fruit not just as a quick calorie, but as the successful culmination of time, weather, and biology.
And speaking of weather, this brings up what I found to be the absolute most surprising part of this whole operation. We've established how hardy this plant is, right?
Right.
It's this massive, thick, fat cane. And Ed mentions that the climate they grow in is full of extremes. It gets very, very cold at night and then incredibly hot during the day.
California weather can be intense.
So you picture this robust lumberjack of a plant just braving the elements. But despite all that toughness, it has this one bizarre vulnerability.
Yes.
It is incredibly sensitive to the sun. Like, it will actually get sunburned much easier than almost any other type of berry.
It seems like a paradox, doesn't it?
It really does.
But it makes perfect sense when you look at the physical anatomy of the berry. A blackberry is made up of dozens of tiny little spheres called drupelets.
Okay, drupelets.
Right, and each one of those drupelets is filled with liquid and covered by a microscopic, delicate skin. When the midday sun hits them, those tiny spheres actually act like magnifying glasses, intensifying the UV rays.
Oh, wow. So they are essentially frying themselves if the sun gets too intense.
Exactly. The plant absolutely requires the hot sun to develop those complex sugars and ripen the fruit. But if that sun crosses a certain threshold of intensity, it physically damages the cellular structure.
Yeah.
It literally cooks the berry right there on the cane, completely ruining the crop.
So what on earth does a farmer do? I mean, you can't exactly move the plants indoors.
No, you can't.
The solution they use at Santa Barbara Blueberries is surprisingly low-tech.
Yeah.
They string up a giant 30% shade cloth over the berries just to make sure they're comfortable.
It's so simple.
I find the visual so funny. You have this tough, hardy plant surviving freezing nights, but come midday, it essentially needs the farmer to run out and put SPF 50 and a little sun hat on it so it doesn't get a sunburn.
It is a humorous image, definitely. But that specific act, putting up the shade cloth to protect the vulnerable fruit, is actually the perfect physical manifestation of what we call regenerative farming.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ed explicitly states that their primary goal every day is simply trying to make the plant comfortable. Think about how radically different that mindset is from conventional farming.
Let's explore that contrast a bit because regenerative is another one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot in marketing lately.
Almost as much as superfood.
Exactly. So what does it actually mean in practice out there in the dirt compared to normal industrial farming?
The easiest way to think about it is comparing a credit card to a savings account.
Okay, I like analogies.
In a conventional, highly industrialized model, the operative mindset is extraction, like running up a credit card. The farmer asks, how much yield can I forcefully extract from this dirt today using whatever synthetic fertilizers and pesticides are necessary?
Right.
They treat the land as a factory floor. They get massive yields in the short term, but they are accumulating massive ecological debt in the soil. Eventually, that soil is completely depleted and lifeless.
So they are essentially bankrupting the land just to hit a quarterly quota.
Exactly. But regenerative farming operates on the savings account philosophy. They do not exploit the land. They work with the land to build wealth over time.
Right.
Their operative mindset is service. They ask, how can I serve this ecosystem so it naturally thrives?
And the shade cloth perfectly illustrates that service.
Mhm.
Like, you aren't genetically modifying the plant in a lab so it can withstand more UV radiation, and you aren't spraying it with some chemical heat protectant.
No, not at all.
You are physically modifying the environment to offer shelter. You are acknowledging and accommodating the plant's natural biological limits.
Precisely. It is a philosophy built entirely on stewardship rather than domination. And it all boils down to one ultimate, non-negotiable golden rule of regenerative agriculture.
Which is?
If the land is healthy, the plant is healthy.
It makes sense.
You cannot bypass the health of the soil or the local ecosystem and expect a truly healthy, nutrient-dense crop. By protecting the plant from the sun, keeping the soil microbiomes healthy by not dumping chemicals on them, and encouraging the local honeybees, you create an environment where the farm gets stronger, more fertile, and more resilient every single year.
Wow.
You are basically building compound interest in the soil rather than depleting it.
It really paints a picture of a massive interconnected web. I mean, inside our bodies, the blackberry is this quiet character actor, delivering huge doses of vitamin C, neutralizing free radicals with antioxidants, stopping cellular rust, and physically protecting our brains against long-term cognitive decline.
Yes, all of that.
And to get those internal regenerative benefits, we rely entirely on farmers who practice external regenerative habits.
That's the connection.
Farmers who have the sheer patience to let a cane sit in the ground for an entire year to build root plumbing. Farmers who respect the mutual exchange with the honeybee. Farmers who track a biological traffic light over 70 days. And who are willing to put a sun hat on a hardy plant just to keep it comfortable.
It is a beautiful symmetry, isn't it? The regenerative care the farmer gives to the land is ultimately passed directly into the regenerative care the fruit gives to your brain and body.
I love that.
You aren't just eating a piece of fruit, you are literally consuming the health of that specific ecosystem. And it proves that a true superfood isn't synthesized in a laboratory or created by a marketing team. It is cultivated through patience, intense observation, and a deep fundamental respect for the natural environment.
I think that perfectly synthesizes our journey today. We've traced the life of this incredible plant from a tiny flower visited by a happy honeybee, protected by shade cloths from microscopic magnifying glass sunburns, taking 70 patient days to transform into a shiny, sweet, thumb-sized superfood capable of keeping our brains young.
It really does completely redefine the produce aisle.
It really does. It replaces our demand for convenience with a profound level of respect for the complex biology we so often take for granted.
Absolutely.
And on that note, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thing to ponder. The next time you are standing in the grocery store and you pick up a plastic clamshell of berries, take a moment to look closely at the color.
Yeah, look close.
Are they truly that specific shiny black that biologically signals they are perfectly naturally ripe? And more importantly, ask yourself what unseen ecosystem, what happy bees, protective shade claws, and healthy unexploited land had to perfectly align just to get that single piece of fruit into your hands.
Such a great thought to leave on.
It's been a fascinating conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to exploring the world with you again next time on VPA.AI.